Okay, so as promised, my new speakers are here, and these are the Totem Forest Signatures from Totem Acoustics in Canada, and purchased from Adirondack Audio, and I can't recommend them highly enough. It was a great experience trying to pick these out. And they're nice and shiny. Got a nice gloss to them, which is they're really just beautiful to look at. And I think they sound pretty amazing. You remember I had the Martin Logan Vistas before. So this is a very different presentation. What are we listening to right now, by the way? This is Fritz Reiner's music for Celesta. What is it? Strings, percussion, and Celesta on RCA. Amazing sounding recording. I'm pretty sure this is the one that Kubrick used for The Shining. Sounds exactly like it in certain parts. Anyway, back to the speakers. So I listened to about 4 or 5 different sets of speakers before settling on these. I listened to Din Audio, or Dyn Audio, I'm not sure how you say that, all around the same price range. And you can look up what that price range is as these. So I listened to Din Audio. See, now I'm going to forget all of them. Triangle. What did I say? Amphion? I heard the Spendors. May have talked about those already. And there was one other set that's not popping into my head right now. But what I liked about these is, part of what I liked about the Martin Logans. There's a certain openness on top, for one thing, that these had that the others didn't. Now that might come off to some people. Oh, actually, I can't say that they didn't. A couple of them did. The Din Audios definitely did not. I think the Triangles did. So then it became other factors. But okay, so I got interrupted there. I'm not sure exactly where I was, but I think I was talking about the speakers I compared this to. And then I like the openness on top, the treble, the air, that these had, and that the Martin Logans had, that transparency that you get. And some of the other speakers had it, some of them didn't. And the ones that did, I think the Triangles in my memory were the closest in terms of overall tone to this and to what I liked, which was a fairly tight bass, but the bass was there. You wouldn't think it by looking at the size of these speakers. I think that's a 6-inch woofer, maybe 5 or 6 inch, but can't remember off the top of my head. But I don't want to get the tape out right now. But you'd be surprised at what can pump out. There's 2 ports in the back. I don't know if you can see it. And you see I've got them bi-wired like the other ones, with these nice banana grips. And but the thing that really set it over the top was a kind of the size of the soundstage and the imaging, which was really precise and lifelike and big, and it went deep and wide, and sounded very like you are there, more than some of the other speakers to me. So I was very pleasantly surprised by these, and these were the hands down, the winner. It was I'm very glad that I didn't just buy speakers sight unseen. I was thinking about doing that, and I would have, I'm sure I would have liked whatever I got, but in a certain price range, not knowing any different, but I'm glad I got to hear other speakers and say, oh no, definitely this is the one that, for me personally, that I really liked. So that was a big plus, and I think I would recommend that. Take a trip to a dealer somewhere. I had to drive almost 2 hours to do this, but it was totally worth it. Okay, so the other thing is, interestingly, I started these out fairly towed in, like I had the Martin Logans, and I've done a lot of experimentation with speaker placement. These are a few inches back where the Logans were. They ended up, at least for now, and barely towed in at all. I'm sort of looking at them head on right now. You can see that the angle of toe in there, I think, on the side, very slight. Looking at it straight on. And this was done, I found out that I was getting a little bit of harshness on the high end, a little bit too much. So I decided to look up on their website. I didn't get a manual with the ones I got because these were demos, actually. They forgot to give me the manual. But I looked up and they suggested no towing. As long as the speakers are within 8 feet. Now these are more than 8 feet apart. So I had to experiment a little bit. I started with no towing and then started towing in very slightly. Until the vocal, I think I've talked about this before, but until the center vocal started to really crystallize in one spot. Started out when I had no toe in, there was a little bit of smearing that I could hear. This is really very subtle, but if you listen enough and you listen carefully, I think you could hear it, when you're setting up your own speakers. And I would suggest this method, where you start with no toe in and then gradually bring them in until the point where you start to hear that vocal really start to come together. And I think the further you go, you're going to get a little bit too narrow of a vocal, maybe even recessed, but it's going to stop being lifelike. It's going to be a little bit too pinpoint, and you're going to have too much on the high end. The tweeter is going to be like just fatiguing your ear. So this is the thing that helped the speaker really disappear, because when I had them towed in too much, I was noticing the speaker, which you shouldn't have happen. The instruments should be separated from the speakers entirely. The speaker should basically not be there. If you notice them, that might be an indication you got too much, maybe too much toe in, or just the kind of speaker you have. It's just a little bit maybe hot in the high end, because that's where your localization in your ear, you localize things by the higher frequencies. So anyway, these are the speakers. I'm extremely happy with them. They're very involving. You sit and listen, you just get lost. They seem to come out of a blacker background. I know what that means now. Where this music just seems to come out of nowhere. It's a wonderful feeling, and I couldn't be happier. I just really exactly what I wanted. I wanted a smoother presentation across the frequency band, which ends up meaning a little bit warmer in the low mids than what I had before, and maybe a little more resolution was what I was looking for, because I wasn't spending a huge amount more than I had, or that the Martin Logans retailed for, but a little bit. I wanted to get a little bit more, and I did spend a little bit more. So I was trying to upgrade, and I accomplished exactly what I set out to do. So very, very pleased with these. And now the next thing is to maybe look at some speaker wire. Because right now I still have my Home Depot wire on there that I braided myself, which again sounds great. I don't have a problem, but I am curious to see what a little attention to the speaker wire might bring. Who knows? We'll find out. Okay, let's look at some records. I got some amazing, or at least one amazing find this time. You're not going to want to miss this. Okay, first things first. I'll start with a pretty good find. This one, Velvet Underground, loaded on Cotillion, which is the first pressing, if I'm not mistaken, according to Discogs. And sounds really great for a Velvet Underground record, which never really sound that great. I mean, they weren't that well produced or engineered. This is probably the best of them in terms of sound, not in terms of quality, but in terms of sound. But like all their albums, pretty great, and this is just a great thing to have. I've got originals on the first album. I think White Light, White Heat. No, actually, I might have originals on all of them at this point. I got to go check that, but you know, that's sort of, those are holy grails for me, is to have all those. So this was a great find. This I bought new. It's a Four Men with Beards, release. Nina Simone Sings the Blues. Pretty great album, just on its own. I've only listened to it once or twice. And hey, Bernard Purdie on drums. Remember him from Steely Dan, played on Asia. And, you know, most likely a digital file. You know, what do you expect? But, yeah, pretty decent production. Not a blow your mind away sound quality wise, but good, you know, for what you get. We get what you pay for. Wasn't too much money. And, you know, you rarely see the original of this, so obviously well worth having. What do we got here? Oh, this is one I got hunted down online. Since I got the other Ronnie Lane album, now I'm not remembering what it is. I think it's second album, whatever that's called, but I love it. It's great. And so I decided to hunt down this, the first one, which I don't even know this was released in America. Pretty sure this is a UK, yeah, this is a UK release on GM Records. And it's called Any More for Any More, Ronnie Lane and his band, the band Slim Chance. And this one, again, I gotta bleed this out because I only listened to this once, too, and I definitely liked it. I don't know if I liked it as much as the second one, but, you know, right away I heard some good stuff on here, so this one I want to get to know a little bit more. But I really come to appreciate Ronnie Lane recently. You know, he's on the great Pete Townsend Rough Mix album, and that stuff is great too. But speaking of Ronnie Lane, now I got to dig through here because I also got this, which is a reissue of the Faces Ooh La La with this great sort of cover art. How does this even come apart? I don't even want to do it. But I mean, it's just like this crazy thing with you know, I don't know if this does something with the face. You know, this one, again, I don't love the Faces, but like them. And again, listening to the Ronnie Lane stuff, really getting into it. And this one's got, oh geez, what the hell's the name of the song? I wish I knew what I know now when I was younger or when I was older. Whatever that's called. Is that Ooh La La? Or is it Borstal Boys? I think it's one of the last songs on the side. I feel like it's Ooh La La. But anyway, That's an amazing song, and this has got some other really good songs on it. So, you know, I gotta spend a little more time with this too. But first impression, liked it. I hate the '80s, as you may well know, but I've been picking up little '80s releases here and there just to sort of, that's not so bad. That's not so bad. I ended up picking up this, which of course has "Angel in the Morning" and "Queen of Hearts," which were the two huge hits off. I like both of those songs, so I figured, why not get it? And it's pretty decent. I'm not even sure if I listened to side 2 yet, but sort of country-ish pop from the '80s. Pretty decent, and those are great songs. So it's nice to have them on vinyl. Would I run out and get it? No, but hey. This isn't the one. This is the one I have, which is a American original first pressing. And so then I ended up finding a UK on Polydor, and I believe this is probably the second issue. So I think the first one might have been an Island. I think I checked this, but now I'm forgetting. It's been a few weeks, or a couple weeks since I got it. And not a clear winner. Go side by side on these. It's interesting because the American Atlantics, the same thing with Court of the Crimson King. They're brighter. They sound a little bit more juiced. But I think you might make the argument that the UK one's a little bit laid back. And that maybe the juice, which might have been overcooked on Court of the Crimson King, actually works on the second one, In the Wake of Poseidon, this one, on the American first pressing. So, which one would I go with? I mean, it's nice to have these, the British ones, but I might give the slight edge to the American one here. But that's just a personal preference, maybe even depending on what day. But that was interesting, hearing those. It was nice to find them. This is one I had seen around, and I had seen it on the Michael Fremer video. He pulled it out, didn't talk about it. He pulled it out on this video, and I had seen it so many times at my local record store, Reimagine Records, and I just always ignored it. Again, '80s, not for me. But since he had it, he got me curious, so I said, I'll pick it up, listen to it, and it's really pretty good. And even though I don't really like the '80s, but this is a really great production, and it sounds amazing. Really well produced and engineered for an '80s release. So this is this one. If you don't know it already, maybe you do, but I would recommend it. Again, got to spend a little more time with it, but when I first heard, I definitely liked more than I expected to. Oh, here's another one. Best of Keith Jarrett. I have like his Cologne concert, a couple other things, but this seemed like a nice compilation to take a chance on it. It's really very good. I highly recommend this. If you're getting into Keith Jarrett, you want to check him out, see what he's about. I mean, the Cologne thing is really like on its own, kind of special, and this doesn't really capture that kind of amazing improvisational flow that he does on that concert. But this is a little more structured, and it's also really great. So definitely, worth having if you're just getting into them. I'm sure if you're into them, you've dove a little deeper into the catalog, but I haven't. So interesting though. You got Charlie Hayden on bass and Paul Motion on drums. Sam Brown on guitar. I don't know if I know Sam Brown, but anyway, very good. And here's the biggie. This came in, and fortunately, I was able to be sort of lucky enough to snag this again at Reimagine Records. I got it for a good price. It was not cheap, but it was definitely a good and more than fair price. And well, this is what it is. And you could take a wild guess as to this isn't just the ordinary Zeppelin II, which of course everybody has. This is the Robert Ludwig Zeppelin II with RL and the dead wax on both sides. Mint. And it's effing incredible. Everything you've read about this, I have to wholeheartedly agree with. It just rocks like it's supposed to. And you realize that I think, in my mind, Ludwig mastered this, treating all the instruments as equal. You figure you have like a trio, you've got to treat all the instruments about the same, so that things are balanced. And that's not always true, like on some of the, Zeppelin records, some of the other productions, some of the other masterings. Here, the bass is right there with the guitar, and right there with the drums. They're all given equal prominence, and it just, you get that, how well that gels, and it just kicks so much more ass. Just totally, totally worth it. I know if you can hunt this down, you should. I know it can be really pricey. Is it worth that much? I don't know. I would just say, if you can get this for a reasonable deal, get it, because it is everything you've heard and more. So that's it. I think that's enough. But that's it for this week, or this month, frankly, whatever, this round. And I'm sure I'll be back with more. Hopefully not too long. But until then, see you later.